When Clara Voss stepped out of the elevator on her first day at Lexmark Corporate Solutions, the air smelled faintly of espresso and ambition. Everything about the office gleamed: polished marble floors, glass partitions, brushed steel fixtures. Even the people seemed designed to match the interior: impeccable, calm, self contained. Clara had worked in corporate environments before, but never one like this. Every step she took felt amplified in the hush of efficiency that filled the corridors. She adjusted her blazer, tailored navy, and brushed an invisible speck from her leather pencil skirt. Her heels clicked rhythmically, betraying her nerves. She was 31, newly appointed as a strategy associate, eager to prove herself. She'd come from a smaller consultancy where personality was considered an asset. Here, personality felt like a liability. Still, she was determined to fit in. Her new team greeted her politely, but without warmth. They smiled, shook her hand, and quickly returned to their screens. Even Marianne, her direct supervisor, seemed permanently on the verge of an urgent meeting. Yet Clara worked fast and meticulously. Within days, she was staying late, reformatting reports, catching inconsistencies others missed. She took pride in being sharp, capable, visible through excellence. At home, though, she would collapse on her sofa and exhale, exhausted. Her dark blonde curls spilled over her shoulders, soft against the black leather of her work skirt. They were her comfort, the one part of her that still felt alive after 12-hour days of fluorescent focus. Her hair had always been her signature. Friends had envied it. Strangers complimented it. It framed her seriousness with warmth. Sometimes she thought of it as armor made of softness. She had no idea it would become the very thing that threatened her job. It happened one quiet Monday morning. Her phone pinged with a new calendar invite. Meeting R. Devlin, Director. 9:30 a.m. Her stomach tightened. Devlin was the company's founder and CEO, known for his ruthless precision. Few met him directly. When Clara entered his office, the air felt different. Cooler, quieter, intentional. Devlin himself sat behind a glass desk with no clutter, not even a pen out of place. "Ms. Voss," he said without looking up. "Good work on the Echelon project." "Thank you, sir." He looked up then, eyes sharp as silver. "You're efficient." "I appreciate efficiency, but you're new, and new people often misunderstand Lexmar's philosophy." She frowned slightly. "Philosophy?" He gestured toward the window overlooking the skyline. "We deal in precision. Our clients pay for order, not chaos, not emotion. We cultivate neutrality in everything we project. That includes appearance." "I understand the need for professionalism," she said carefully. "Good," he said, standing. "Then you'll understand why I'm addressing this." He circled behind her chair as if evaluating a sculpture. "Your work attire is appropriate. But your presentation, your hair, it's distracting." Clara froze. "My hair? It draws attention. It conveys softness, individuality. Neither aligns with our brand identity. Here, we remove distractions so only performance remains visible." Her breath caught. "Are you asking me to cut it?" Devlin stopped, his reflection beside hers in the glass wall. "Not cut. Remove. Complete removal aligns with our leadership standard. You may have noticed several senior associates share the same appearance." She thought back to the sleek heads, the unbroken aesthetic of uniformity. She had noticed, but she'd assumed it was coincidence. Her voice was faint. "You want me to go bald?" Devlin met her eyes in the reflection. "Lexmar values commitment above comfort. You can decline, of course, but it will tell us something about your willingness to align with our principles." Her pulse thundered. She had fought for years to reach this level. Working nights, sacrificing weekends, building a reputation. Could she throw it away after 1 week? She heard herself say softly, "I'll comply." Devlin nodded once, satisfied. "Good. Send confirmation to HR once it's done." The meeting was over. She stood shakily, thanked him, and walked out as if her body were on autopilot. That evening, Clara sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her reflection. Her curls caught the lamplight, alive, glowing, utterly her. Her reflection looked back as though asking, "Are you sure?" She wasn't, but she knew she'd already made the choice. The next morning, she called Evelyn Grace Hair Atelier, the most discreet luxury salon she could find. The receptionist was cheerful. Clara's voice, when she made the appointment, sounded detached, almost clinical. By afternoon, she was sitting beneath crystal lights, surrounded by soft music and the scent of rose oil. Everything about the place radiated calm, but inside she felt panic pressing at her ribs. A stylist approached. "How would you like it today?" Clara's throat closed. After a moment, she managed, "Everything. Off." The stylist blinked. "Everything?" Clara nodded. "It's required." There was a pause, a quiet understanding between women who had seen many kinds of surrender in that chair. The stylist nodded gently. Clara was guided to a reclining basin. Warm water poured over her head. The sensation made her eyes sting. The stylist's hands moved tenderly, almost reverently. Clara's tears mixed with the water, unhidden. When she sat upright again, a purple plastic cape was fastened around her. She looked in the mirror and saw not vanity, but loss. The sound of scissors was soft, barely a whisper, but each snip felt thunderous inside her chest. Strands fell against the cape, slid down, gathered in her lap. She couldn't look down. It was over quickly, though it felt endless. When the stylist finally removed the cape, Clara looked up at the mirror and hardly recognized herself. Her reflection was raw, almost vulnerable, but also startlingly clear. The stylist spoke gently. "You look stronger than you think." Clara couldn't answer. She paid, thanked her quietly, and walked outside. The air hit her bare scalp like a second shock. The world felt louder, brighter, merciless. She pulled her coat collar high and kept walking, her reflection in every window a stranger's. The next morning, Clara's arrival at Lexmar drew discreet glances. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. A few colleagues nodded approvingly. Others looked away quickly, as though her transformation were contagious. Mr. Devlin passed her desk briefly. His eyes flicked over her, and he gave a single approving nod. "Alignment achieved," he said, and walked away. She wanted to feel relief, but what she felt was hollow. Throughout the day, she noticed the small differences: how people spoke to her with slightly more respect, how her ideas were acknowledged more readily. Her appearance had stripped away softness. She had become the image of discipline Lexmar prized. But when she went home, silence filled her apartment like fog. Without the daily ritual of caring for her hair, washing, brushing, tying, she felt disoriented. Her reflection was unfamiliar. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, she adjusted. She bought bold earrings, sharper makeup, minimalist clothes that suited her new look. Her confidence rebuilt itself, this time not from appearance, but from control. Still, she dreamed of her curls sometimes, of the weight and warmth of them against her neck. 3 months later, faint stubble began to appear on her scalp. For the first time in months, she smiled at her reflection. But then came the memory of Devlin's warning. Alignment. That night, she stood before the mirror with clippers in her hand. The act, once one of loss, became a ritual of choice. She trimmed the regrowth short, not because she had to, but because it now represented something else. Precision, power, and oddly, freedom. She realized she had transformed the meaning of what was done to her. By her 1-year mark at Lexmar, Clara had changed, not just in appearance, but in presence. She led projects with quiet authority. Clients listened when she spoke. Devlin no longer questioned her alignment. She had become one of the company's pillars. One evening, after a successful presentation, she caught her reflection in a window, the city's lights framing her smooth head like a halo. She didn't see loss anymore. She saw survival. Her colleagues sometimes asked why she never let her hair grow back. She would smile and say, "Because it reminds me who I am when everything else is taken away." At home, she still kept an old photograph, herself with those long, dark blonde curls, tucked into a drawer. Not out of regret, but remembrance. She would glance at it sometimes and whisper, "Thank you," to the woman who was brave enough to change. And in the quiet that followed, she'd run her hand over her scalp, not with sadness, but with peace. She had gone to the edge of conformity and found, underneath it all, the raw strength of authenticity. The job had demanded her hair. She had kept her soul.